Okay, so I want to go over three separate politicians and some just crazy asinine stuff that they have said the past few days, or just things that they haven't done in relation to COVID-19 and what they should have done just 2-3 weeks ago. I want to start first with Governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp. This one is just holy God. So I'm going to show a quick clip of him talking, and then I'll come back and tell you why. It's just I don't understand how it is, but we'll watch it and come back.
I think it's the reason I'm taking this action. Just like I've continued to tell people, I'm following the data, I'm following the advice of Dr. Toomey. Her and I both mentioned in our remarks, finding out that this virus is now transmitting before people see signs. So what we've been telling people from directives from the CDC for weeks now, that if you start feeling bad, stay home. Those individuals could have been infecting people before they ever felt bad. Well, we didn't know that until the last 24 hours. And as Dr. Toomey told me, she goes, this is a game changer for us.
Okay, that is just, how is that possible? The man is a governor. He doesn't read news. He doesn't have people around him who tell him things about a pandemic that's sweeping the country and killing people by the day. I mean, I've known, and I'm just a regular nobody, that this can be spread from asymptomatic carriers since like early February, like late January. It's April. This guy just learned this just now. This is how crazy it is. I'm going to show you really quick just how many cases Georgia has had as of yesterday, because that's when he said this, and the deaths in Georgia as well. So here we go. Georgia yesterday had almost 5,000 deaths, 4748 cases, and they had 154 deaths. This guy's just now learning. He's just now learning that the virus can be spread from people who aren't showing symptoms. And the great irony of this one is the CDC headquarters is located in Georgia. This is just, how is that possible? We need to vote out these just ignoramuses and vote in better people. I mean, I understand. I've heard it plenty of times. You get the leaders you deserve, but you got to think that, you got to hope, right, that we deserve better leaders than this. Oh my God. Okay, now let's just discuss DeSantis. This is where I'm at in Florida. So DeSantis, I believe as of yesterday, finally came down and ordered a mandatory or a recommended stay-at-home order. So pretty much, the whole state is shut down, except for essential businesses and whatnot. But for some just asinine reason, he still thought it was cool to let like churches and religious synagogues and mosques and everything still gather and do their praying and everything, and get together on their Sundays and for mass and so forth and so on. And this is just no. Like when they have these congregations, they get together, there's definitely more than 20, at a bare minimum, like 20 people, right? I mean, that goes against everything. We're telling businesses all around the country that you can't have, we're just telling people that you can't have more than 10 people congregated together. And this guy's like, yeah, well, we'll make an exception for churches. No, people are still going to get sick. Just because you are within the confines of these four walls of your, ferryman in the sky doesn't mean you still won't get the virus and potentially spread it around. And the thing with DeSantis is it took him too long to close the state down. I mean, in the beginning, I thought he was doing okay. And then as things started to change quickly, he took way too long to close the state down. A lot of people are going to get a crash course understanding in exponential growth and viral spread. Where do you think the term, like, I've gone viral came from? Where do you think that came from? It came from viral spread. The fact that as the days go on and more people get the virus, the next day you wake up, all of a sudden 1,000 more cases popped up. And the next day, all of a sudden 6,000 more cases popped up. It's viral spread. It spreads exponentially. And a lot of people are going to get a crash course in what that really means in real time, in the real world, and it's going to cost real lives. So it's when you wait until you have 6,000 cases recorded, that's too long. You've waited too long. It's always going to seem like you're overreacting. It's always going to seem like, oh, why are they closing things down? Why are school closed? Why are the businesses closed? We only have, 500 cases. That's why, because that's how you truly flatten the curve. You catch it as early as possible. So as few as people are as sick as possible, they're quarantined. The virus exhausts itself out in the world, and it exhausts itself in the sick people. And it doesn't spread nearly as far or as rapid. It's always going to seem like you're overreacting. And then that brings me to the last one, which is the POTUS, the president, our Mango Menace in charge. So here is him the other day. I'm going to read a quote. And here, this is what he says the other day, right? So I think this was 2 days ago during one of the pressers. It might have been yesterday. He says, quote, "Ride it out. Don't do anything. Just ride it out. And think of it as the flu," they said, according to Trump, who said, quote, "But it's not the flu. It is vicious." Well, listen, I'm glad that the guy finally came around to understanding that it's not the flu, but we can't let him get away with stuff like this. We can't let him get away with the fact that he downplayed it and said and compared it to the flu and was throwing all these little markers out there trying to feed his base that, look, it's just the flu and it's the Democrats' hoax and they're coming to get me. It's really no worse than the flu. I mean, look what he said. This is what he said on Twitter. Let's go to Twitter. This is what he said back on March 9th, which really isn't that long ago. A little less than a month ago. So last year, 37,000 Americans died from the common flu. It averages between 27 and 70,000 per year. Nothing is shut down. Life and the economy go on. At this moment, there are 546 confirmed cases of coronavirus with 22 deaths. Think about that. I have thought about it, Donald, and I've thought about you are a moron. We can't let him and his administration and Fox News and these propagandists twist this around and try to cover it up and try to make that they didn't say these things. They're literally trying to rewrite history when all you have to do is go on Google, go on his Twitter, look at videos on YouTube. You can see him saying things that are in direct contradiction to what he is saying now. And that's perfectly fine. If you want to change your mind and you finally come around and seen the light, that's great. I love it. Let's do the right thing. But let's not forget that people are dying who otherwise wouldn't have died if he would have had this outlook from the start. If he would have done and taken this to the level it should have been taken to nearly 2 months ago, instead of downplaying it all along, there were people's lives that could have been saved. There are people's lives now that are going to be lost because he didn't do that. And now he's talking about, if he didn't do anything, if we just ride it out, as he says, there would have been potentially 2.2 million deaths. And now he wants credit for doing something so late that they're saying that 6 figures worth of humans, Americans, can die. He wants credit for that. He wants credit for the fact, like, look, we could have done nothing. Well, no one would have done nothing, you ignoramus. No president would have just sat there and done nothing. So you obviously were going to do something We're saying that what you're doing now could have been done 2 months ago. We could have prepared for this and we could have saved lives. Instead, you didn't do that. You didn't do that. And now you have his administration and Pence the other day basically saying that, let's see what I think I have a Pence quote for you too. Oh yeah, here it is. Vice President Pence tells Wolf, quote, "I don't believe the president has ever belittled the threat of coronavirus. That is just a flat out lie." What's crazy to me the most with Trump is that, okay, so he lies just habitually. He does no purchase on the truth, doesn't care about it. But it seems like everyone in his orbit also gets like trapped in his web of lies, and they're forced to lie, and it just completely degrades their integrity, and it's terrible for the country. It's everyone that comes in his orbit. It happens to, like, it's weird. It's really weird. I've never seen it happen before, because some of these people, had some shred of integrity before this happened, and now it's just all gone. It's all gone. And it's going to be a rough month and a half, 2 months at a minimum for, the economy, for the country at whole, for people losing loved ones. And there are so many steps that we could have taken and been proactive that could have saved lives.